Today we are hosting a community market in collaboration with Native Farming Solutions. We call it bread, eggs, and wild onions, Taklike, Custake, Tafvmpuce, because that's kind of what's in season right now. So we have traditional foods. We got beans and fry bread for lunch. We're going to do a couple of cooking demonstrations on wild onions and bread making, and then we have different vendors from across the reservation and out towards OKC also. We met Travis, Native Farming Solutions, at a food sovereignty conference a couple of years ago, and their company, Native Farming Solutions, puts on these really cool community markets like this out in the OKC area, and I've gone out and attended a couple of them. And so actually last night Travis taught our Muscogee gardener class, so he just kind of stayed and wanted to collaborate on an event while he was out this way, so kind of made it happen.
Well, this is the second year I've come out to teach during the horticulture garden series classes. And in Oklahoma City, we're doing the same stuff, a lot of gardening classes, but we also try to line them up with events, local foods events, to give us an excuse to cook and show up. And we don't just like talking about growing food, we also like eating food. So we try to make a point that we won't just talk about local foods, but we always try to eat local foods. So anyways, when I was invited out for this one, I said, since we're coming out on Thursday, it'd be nice to just stick around and see if we can do something Friday for the community. And they were into it, and the horticulture team, they were into it, supported the idea, so we went with it. Today was gardening tips and tricks, for beginners. We showed some projects that are easy for people in small space like dorms and stuff like that. But the methods we use can be scaled up for full size, like farms and ranches. So anyways, that's what I showed, was some gardening tips and tricks. What it comes down to is we were trying to figure out why aren't there more farms? Why aren't there more farmers? And these conversations led us to the supply chain discussions, and we started to figure out what's missing here and here that's affecting it, so that why don't we have farmers? What's the supply chain issues? And that led us to understanding circular food systems, and that's when we were trying to link either farmers or food processors with their supply chain community, if that makes sense. And so with that, it was just networking, kind of finding out who's behind you and who's in front of you and how can you guys support each other. So as natives, people always like to talk about companion planting, and I would say it's not just plants that help each other, us too. That's what we try to encourage, that people find their support systems and build off of that, versus just trying to swing it on their own, rough it on their own and do it all by themselves. That just burns people out and makes people tired. So
this was our first kind of pilot year doing a community market like this. And if you follow Travis and Native Farming Solutions, they kind of do this seasonally. So fall, winter, summer, spring, he's hosting community markets like this out towards OKC. So we're kind of hoping to bring the same idea and the same concepts here to the Tulsa area.
Me and my family, it's a family-founded operation, and it was really about we're traditional food advocates and educators, and the purpose of the project is to make sure that our younger ones grow up with access to traditional foods, that they know how to cook them, and they understand why it's important. So that's kind of the mission for our project, is to make sure the next generation understands how important our traditional foodways are.